Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey guys, welcome back. We just got back from our trip to Portugal.
Yes, we did.
How was it for you?
It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah, we had a movie experience.
Oh, we're not gonna get into that. Not right now anyway.
We filmed it, we have pictures, so, you know, there was action, there's romance, there's comedy.
Oh yeah.
There's drama, but
we're not getting into that today. Today, we are actually gonna be talking about, I guess, like, things you should know before you go to Portugal.
sure, let's go.
Yeah, because like I feel like a lot of people are going right now, and I have a couple of friends that are going to Portugal, and there's a lot of questions. So I took notes.
Well, time of year definitely matters.
Oh yeah, like we went we left like last week of.
It's the end of April, so it's not as busy, not as warm, but there's hot spots, so it's definitely good.
Yeah, I felt like it was a lot warmer in Lagos than it was in Porto and Lisbon. I guess we should start with that. So we flew in from Toronto to Lisbon, and then we took a metro all the way to Lagos. That was 4 hours. And then we went to Porto, and that took 8 hours. That was the longest commute. And then from Porto to Lisbon.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long travel, but it depends where you want to start your trip. So.
Yeah, and we really wanted to start our trip in Lagos.
If you factor in waiting time at the airport, you're flying to Southeast Asia from Canada.
It's true. It's true.
Still good. Doesn't matter. It was pretty, flawless. We got lost, not lost. We got off the plane. Then you have to take a subway. But we were lucky enough to get on one within 2 minutes. And then when we got off the subway, people helped us, and we got on a bus in 2 minutes.
Oh, we should back up.
So there's no break.
So yeah, so when we got off the plane, there was a gentleman there that was escorting us, out through security and whatnot. And then you just basically follow the signs. The signs are very apparent, you won't miss it. So there are signs everywhere that says taxi, and then Uber, and this is for the bus, and then this was for the metro. And I will say that before you can even get on the metro, you do have to purchase a voucher, kind of like a Presto card.
Presto card. You can go to they have an ATM machine, but there was workers there. Even though we landed very early, it was 6 a.m.
It wasn't an ATM machine, it was a ticket machine.
But yeah, you know what I mean. A vestibule, whatever you want to call it.
So you have to actually purchase one of those first. And actually we were pretty lucky because we landed at 6 a.m. and people were just coming in. So the workers had actually just arrived, and they were reloading the tickets. Yeah. And what I probably should have done was Google translated a bunch of things, but it's like an afterthought. But yeah, no, they were very helpful, and he eventually came over to assist us, and we purchased 2 cars, loaded it up, and then we just went for it. No idea where we were going. We were just like, okay, we just gotta go down. Just go down and find the train, the metro, because what is it, the subway? Yeah, the subway, because it's it can't be that difficult, right? At least that was what I was thinking.
Well, it says down, it says train. You know, a subway is below the ground. Yeah. But it's a 50-50 shot if you're heading the right direction.
Yeah.
Also, stupid question that we didn't ask was, he told us it's 3 stops from when you get on the train.
Yeah.
But we should ask is,
which way?
What's the name of the stop?
No, I knew the name of the stop. I just didn't know which direction we were going. And there are maps on the walls, but I didn't know where we were at that point. And at that point I feel I guess I don't handle stress very well, because I was I don't know. We're just gonna go 3 stops, and if we don't make it there, we're just getting on the subway to go back the other way.
Well, I'm fidgeting thinking about it, but it's because too, it was the next train's in 5 minutes, and what's the worst that can happen? It's a 50-50 chance you get off at the next stop. If you're going the wrong way, the subway tells you went the wrong way on the map, and then we would have just switched lanes,
Yeah, but there was people were very helpful, and I think the girl that was on the subway as well, she was kind enough to actually open up Google Translate and was type in what you want, and then she was like, oh yeah, no, you're going the right way. And I'm like, thank God. And then
Yeah, because
then
the first people we asked, they were very friendly, but they were also
travelers.
They didn't have baggage. You couldn't tell for sure. But then the guy was ready to speak to me because he thought I was Polish and they were Polish, and they didn't even speak English. So it was like, yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But after the subway, it drops you where the buses are, which is like another thing to know if you're going to be catching a bus, if you're not staying in Lisbon the first day.
Yeah.
Do your research, wherever you're going to go, buy the ticket online.
Oh yeah, buy the ticket in advance, because when we finally got to, is it Flix bus,
yeah,
where all
Flix
the
bus.
buses were, it was like, I feel like I got robbed. I totally got robbed. It was like
it was still
60 euros
but
to get on the bus from Lisbon to Lagos, when like going from Lagos to Porto was less than that.
Yeah, not a rip-off by Canadian price, like 60 euro, whatever.
Let's say 70,
let's
$80.
say it's $80, but it brought us both, 2 passengers, like 40, what was it? I don't know if it was kilometers, miles, but it was still 4 hours away. I think it's not too bad, but then when you find out and you go online that you can get it for 15 euro, then, you know.
It was annoying.
It's a learning curve.
Yeah, and Steven was nice enough to tell me, you know, you're always gonna get scammed the first time, and then you learn from that. But not the point.
Well, it's like, yeah, even if you land like in Thailand or somewhere else, you might overpay for a cab, you know. But statistically, compared to what you pay at home, it's gonna be less. But
well, anyways, the point is I would highly recommend that you actually book your tickets in advance if you can. I think the reason why I didn't do it was because here in Canada, I'm used to like going up to a teller to say, hi, I want a ticket to wherever it is that I'm going, and then they kind of like tell you where to go. But in our case, it was just kind of like go, 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 and the bus was literally leaving. Like we literally sat down, and then it was already going.
yeah, after being at the airport, and then, you know, we kind of rushed. We get on a subway. The fact that the bus was already there.
Yeah.
It was there every 30 minutes, so it wouldn't have been a big deal. We could have taken, but the fact that it's there, you're ready to go, and you just want to get to where you're going.
Yeah, I just wanted to sleep on the bus.
Here, charge me and get on the bus.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And that guy was nice because we had different drivers throughout the time, and some are more dedicated to their job, more customer focused than others. So this guy was pretty good.
Yeah, he would say, oh, next stop, we have 10 minutes, like a pee break. But then I think our last bus driver was just like, he just stops the bus, and then we're like, oh, we have 10 minutes. No, you had like 5.
Yeah, whenever a cigarette finished, that's when the bus left. And there was other people behind us that were running back to the bus,
Yeah.
you know, 10 minutes or not. And you don't want to be that guy holding up the bus, but at the same time.
Oh, he did not care. He was leaving with or without you.
Well, he didn't do a head count. The first guy even did a head count and just double checked. Because your luggage is on there too, most people.
Yeah.
So you're not getting that back. And there's enough videos online of people stealing luggage under the bus, like in certain busy areas. So, but, you know, the start of our trip was kind of like Lagos and the Algarve area, and it was good.
Yeah. So, the questions. What are some tips that you would recommend to someone who's traveling there for the first time? My recommendation, bring a pair of running shoes. Women, ladies, I mean even men, I know we're there to like take cute photos because of our outfits and whatever, but honestly, I didn't really wear any of my fancy shoes. Like I bought sandals because like, you know, they had the straps on them, they had good traction. I was like, oh yeah, like these will replace my running shoes. No, I still wear my running shoes.
You're on cobblestones.
Yeah.
And it's like steep hills at times, so, you know, usually your laces are tied.
Yeah. But like, I feel like those sandals would have been pretty good either way, like short distance, but long distance wise, yeah, good running shoes.
Well, if you're hiking, or like another thing is, you know, you can bring sunscreen, whatever, but it's not that expensive there. You can buy regular stuff. If you're right at a main spot, or it's like the store beside your hotel, probably not your first choice, because if you even walk a block away and go into another store, it's going to be regular price. You might save yourself €6. Even water, €2.50 versus $1.50 as long as you walk a block away.
Yeah, so one thing that I would recommend anybody who's going there, and I actually told my one friend this, is to bring like just like a water bottle, one that keeps it cold, just because, yeah, like if you happen to go into like a restaurant, they'll charge you €3.50 for a regular size water bottle, and then almost €5 for like those 1 liters, which is really expensive when you do the conversion. But yeah, I recommended to bring like a water bottle, just so that if you are doing long walks and whatnot, like you'll have cold water. Or just be like you, just carry the 1 liter with you everywhere.
I grab a 1 liter, 2 liter, but like if you're out at a restaurant, to be honest, you know, it's different because back home they just give you the water that's there, and it's free. It's not bad. I mean, if you're at a restaurant, you're probably better off ordering an espresso or wine, because it's $1
way
euro.
cheaper. Yeah,
like €1, €2, doesn't matter.
And like another thing too is on the topic of restaurants, since we're talking about restaurants, if they bring out bread, it's not free. You definitely have to pay for that. So like if you don't want bread, or yeah, if you just don't want bread, you should just tell them no thank you.
That must have been the bill you got.
Yeah. No, and then yeah, like we got charged for the bread and whatnot. And I think on the topic of restaurants tipping, I believe it's not mandatory. Like out here in Canada, in the States, like for sure you have to tip them, but out in Portugal, like you didn't have to tip them.
No, actually, so a lot of times they hand you like the receiver to pay, and it's just ready to go. Okay, like there's no tip option.
Yeah.
Even. But like around us, I noticed a lot of UK, a lot of people from Scotland as well. And you know, a lot of people do tip, but in some cases, like you have the option and you can add it. A lot of times you actually have to mention it, hand the receiver back, and then they have to retype the whole thing in, because it may not be customary, or they don't even give the option to tip sometimes on the machine. So if it's cash, no problem, but if you're doing it on the machine,
yeah,
you almost have to mention it.
When I was reading, they said that it's not customary to tip, but
yeah,
if they gave you really good service, then I suppose. However, I will say service was super slow everywhere we went.
But it's good. Like they're pleasant. Everyone's pleasant. The service is good. For us, like back home, if going there felt like you're on island time, or like when you're like at a resort, you know, like there's no rush. You know what? We're on vacation, so whatever. But yeah, sometimes when you wait 20 minutes to put in an order, 20 minutes to get your first drink, 20 minutes for the next thing, and then another half hour for just to ask for the bill, not even the bill, which would follow then after. Yeah, it can add up, but it all depends. And you know, cash at the end of the day is king, so that can expedite things. Or you know, with tipping too, it's the end of the trip. You got a bunch of change in your pocket. It's a lot easier to tip euros when you got a couple, you know, 2s or 1s.
Yeah, because they don't buy the coin back; they just buy the cash back.
Yeah.
Okay, so another tip that I would recommend is to actually bring a lot of layers. So I don't know if you guys have been following me on my Instagram, but I would do like little outfits of the day. And if you notice, I wore a lot of like linen, a lot of dress shirts, and then I would like put my blazer over top of that, just because in the evening it gets pretty cold. Like not even like the evening, I would say even around 6 o'clock when the sun's starting to go down, it was cold.
Yeah, sunsets at like 8.
Yeah.
But I found it was pretty windy, at least at the end of April when we were there. But Lagos was warm when we first got there. But still cool in the evening, still 16, 18. Lisbon, when we were there,
it was just flat out cold.
Some days 20 degrees, but then a low of 9. So like some people actually had puffer jackets to carry around. That's where I kind of still have a cold, like from the end of the trip.
Yeah.
Just because you're just getting hit with that breeze, and then you're on the plane and traveling. So
yeah, but mostly from like the wind, because like here in Canada, I find that like it's just cold. But in Lisbon, I felt like you were getting hit with like wind chill all the time because they're by the coast. So it's just like you were just getting hit all the time in the face by this wind. And yeah, it was just it was cold. Like I would much rather be in Canada and have it just be cold and not get slapped in the face by the wind.
But the heat that we had there was nice, like the warm days, because now we're home and it's like similar temperature, but it's humid.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to breathe. Where there it was, maybe you're panting because you're going uphill and you're not used to it, but it was clean heat.
But you know what? A lot of people are always like, oh my God, like the cobblestones and the hills. It wasn't that bad.
No.
Like maybe it was the location where we were staying, but I felt like, or maybe we're just also like athletic people.
No.
Because we do a lot of hikes with the dogs and whatnot, and we are going uphill. But I will say that it's really not that bad. Like even some people, like I don't know, like you're on TikTok or Instagram, you see people saying, oh my God, it's like, it says 10 minutes, but then you're going up this hill. But to me, I was like, dude, man, we did that, like it was no problem. And even when we went on our hike in Lagos, that 7 Hanging Valley trail, it was 7 kilometers, and people were like, it's gonna take you like 3 to 4 hours to finish this trip. It is a
big hike though.
It is, but we finished it in 2 hours, and we were still stopping at all the beaches.
Yeah, we didn't stop terribly long, mind you, but we did stop. We laid in the sand, went in the water.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
And you know, it might be the people that were traveling, but there was like groups of people our parents' age. You know, they had like they looked like hikers because they had their full gear with the walking stick / cane things. Yeah. But like I was happy to be behind them because they had a good pace and they had it mapped out. Where like some people are kind of just whatever.
They didn't know where they were going.
But I was surprised because people were doing it in sandals, and I just.
Oh my God! Yeah, people were doing it in sandals, and I was like, no, you. Okay, if you are doing this 7 Hanging Valley hike, please, for the love of God, bring running shoes, because there are some areas where you literally have to climb down the cliff and then climb back up. And I think that probably would have been the hardest part for a lot of people, because it was never flat. And I feel like a lot of influencers, like travel influencers, love to post like, oh, do this trip, it's so easy and whatever. But it's like they're leaving out the part where, you know, you're literally climbing down and then climbing back up again. And like the whole 7 kilometers is exactly that. Like you're going up and down, flat, up and down and flat. And like the elevation is actually pretty high too. I didn't bring my my Apple Watch, but I do know that at some point, like the elevation was a lot higher. So it was a little bit harder to breathe. And if you actually started this hike like later in the morning, and now like you're moving into the afternoon, it's hot. It's gonna be difficult because it was hot.
Yeah, it was 22 when we were there, but then it got warmer, felt warmer. But
yeah,
if you're in the end of the season or June, like, and it's 35, you're gonna feel it.
Oh yeah.
You want to do it in the morning.
Yeah, for sure. Like you definitely want to start early, but either way, I think if you are doing that type of hike out in Lagos, I would say definitely bring sunscreen, bring a hat, bring water.
Pee first, as close to the travel as you can, because there will be a spot to pee later when you like reach one of these beaches and there's a restaurant, like kind of, but like there's a couple beaches you'll see on the way, but you can't stop at, and you know, you can find a bush, but other than like, and it was pretty busy, so
yeah,
you're not going to be you know, not as many opportunities. You'll definitely want to go first.
Yeah. And like bring snacks. Like if I could do the trip over again, I'd probably...
Yeah, they had picnic areas.
Yeah, I would definitely bring a backpack where I had... Well, we did have a backpack. We had a beach towel. You had like flip-flops to go into the sand, a change of clothes, water. We had snacks, sunscreen. We were fully equipped for this. So clearly I've done some hiking in my days and you've done some camping. But yeah, for like people who are first-time travelers who are doing this little... It's not little, but this hike, this substantial hike, it for sure.
Yeah, it's a good hike.
Yeah, bring the essentials.
You'll enjoy it. But I think too, we had a beach near where we were, and a lot of people were like taking it all in, and I think we did, and you can stop and look. But there's it's a lot of similar views, but it's beautiful. But then also when you're like 2 hours in and the sun starts beaming, I feel like part of it towards the end we're like where is the end? Let's kind of pick up the pace. Like I'm hungry, aren't you? We know there's a restaurant too at the end of the trail, so it's like let's keep moving because you know there's so many caves and so many dunes. But you know, and then it's nice at the end. There is like a family-owned restaurant that's been there. It feels like 100 years. I overheard a waiter talking.
Oh really?
And you know, it's like transferred like through 3 generations.
Oh wow.
And so
Good
I
for
think
them.
even that beach is named after the families that own that restaurant, even though they don't own the beach per se. But you can go eat there and it's good. Because we did that boat tour as
Yeah,
well.
we did do a boat tour.
It was pretty wavy. We did 2 boat tours, but it was,
But in
it was
Lagos specifically, we did a boat tour. I personally wanted to do a kayak tour, but you know what? The water was so choppy. It was not a good time. Like while he was swimming, or like, you know, dipping his toes into the water, I was literally sitting there watching this couple struggle to get onto a kayak for 10 minutes. I was just like, no. And then as like we're sitting there like enjoying the sunshine, we see this local who's on a paddleboard and I'm just like, how? Like these people couldn't even get on the kayak.
It's experience. Also, like if you're not a strong swimmer, because of the way the beach was, it's kind of like pebbly stones and shells. So as you walk out, you can get right in the water. It was a little chilly, but it felt good. But when you're trying to walk back and you feel like you got your feet under you, it keeps sliding. So I could see how people like, if you're not a good swimmer, they might have panicked at that little area because you think like, oh, I can just walk now. And then all of a sudden the waves keep bringing you back and you can't get your footing and the shells keep moving under your feet. I was okay, but I thought my mom was just, you know, over dramatic when she was telling me. But I get it from her point of view.
Yeah. So that's why we opted to do a lot of boat tours instead of doing kayaks. But honestly, if the water was calmer, for sure I would have done the kayak tour because then you can actually like go right up into the caves and you can, I think I saw pictures where you're just kind of like sitting on the beach within the cave.
Yeah,
that
that's
would have
like
been really cool.
a picture you want for sure.
Yeah.
But
it was not good timing for that. And yeah, I think that's all the tips that I would give for that specific portion.
yeah, for Lagos, I mean, there's but there's tons of good stuff. And then when we're in Porto, that was like a really nice area.
Yeah, lots of churches in Porto. One thing that I would recommend is if you are thinking of going into a church, I would highly recommend for the ladies to make sure that you bring like a knit or like a long sleeve because like, you know, you want to cover up your shoulders, make sure your dress is like knee length. And also a lot of people do go up to Porto because it's a little bit quieter than Lisbon. And I found that there was way more, I feel like there were more exhibits in Porto than there were in Lisbon because I feel like Lisbon was more, oh, camera cut out there. What I was saying was that like Lisbon seemed to be more of like a food district and drinks, entertainment, and Porto was more like exhibits. So there was definitely more churches to see, more museums I find, and one thing that I would highly recommend is to make reservations.
That's for sure. I mean, you're gonna look them up. You're gonna find out where you want to eat. It helps, gives you some path to go. But it's nice to just wander around. Sometimes you can do that and still end up back at your place, like we did a couple times.
Yeah.
You know, in different cities. But Lisbon, it's gonna be like a busy city. You know, there's a modern busy part, and then the old town is still gonna be very busy. And you know, overall, if there's a couple places on your map, depending on what you're after, I think realistically, Lisbon's gonna have the least amount of days in your trip if you're trying to see a bunch of Portugal. Not that it doesn't have its own value and things to see, but I mean, if it depends what type of vacation you want. If you're gonna be exploratory and also relax, we definitely like the other places more.
Yeah.
Lisbon has a lot more solicitation, a lot more hustle and bustle. Like people talk about going to resorts all inclusive and getting harassed by people trying to sell you things or, you know, whichever. The main thing is like for Lisbon, we found too, Uber is going to be your friend. It's just easier than a cab in some cases. You only spend like €7 to go anywhere. Sometimes 15 if it's from the airport to where you're going. But at the end of the day,
that's like, crazy though. If you think about it, like a 30-minute ride from anywhere was like under €20. Always. It was like always under like 20 euros. Like I think the most I paid was like €14.
Yeah, and a lot of times you'll get in an Uber and it's say €5, €6.
Yeah.
And most places are like that. You know, it might say 10-minute walk, and you may not be familiar yet with the area. You just landed, or you just want to get there and then get on with the rest of your day. That's fine. Or sometimes a 10-minute walk is actually 15 because you're going up and around, and you know you're fighting not the elements, but it's like being kind of in Vancouver or San Francisco. Like for some reason, whatever direction you turn, it's uphill.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you're going.
Stairs too, lots of stairs.
Yeah, it kind of looked like the John Wick stairs.
Yeah,
took a photo, where he's fighting for 20 minutes going up the same staircase.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like so on that note, I would say we definitely didn't take the metro. So we bought that card thinking that we were going to use the metro system and like the bus and the train and the tram. No, definitely wasn't the case. We just walked everywhere, and the only time we ever got on public transportation was literally to go from like one side of Portugal to the next side of Portugal.
Yeah.
And to just reiterate, taxis and Ubers are available, but we just felt more safe in an Uber. Also, yeah, I just felt more safe in an Uber. I really did.
Uber is easy. It comes right to where you are. You don't need to know the area. There's taxis during the day, whichever. But also, I think Uber is always a great start anyway, no matter what country you're in. Or maybe they use Lyft or Grab or something. I would always recommend searching where you're going first on there, because at least it gives you a baseline for bartering. You don't know the area, so if you get in a cab and he tells you €20, you got to take his word for it.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you're in Thailand,
like the meter's still gonna keep going even though you're stuck.
If you're in Thailand and they tell you X amount of baht or whatever, you don't know because you haven't even searched. So it gives you comparison. But as we found out in Lisbon, an Uber is going to be safer, especially at night. So I've heard this in other countries, but I got in a taxi late at night. And they're offering me everything under the sun, and all I wanted was to get home, and we kept taking different routes. So my travel time tripled, and so did my bill, but so did stress and anxiety, as it's 3 a.m. and in my case, the doors were locked. They wouldn't let me out of this cab, so I was being extorted a little by this person. But not every cab might be unsafe. Just pick your battles. I think at the end of the day, Uber is just a safe bet.
Yeah. Because at least then you can call customer service and share your location.
Yes. Also, funny enough, Uber Eats might actually be cheaper when you're traveling.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're in a tourist area, your meals probably might be inflated, I would say. In some cases, where if you're ordering Uber Eats, I don't know if it's just picking up on the local pricing or you just have a wider range. But, sometimes it ended up being half the cost to get any type of food we wanted, whether it's Portuguese, Vietnamese. They had so much variety all throughout Portugal.
Oh,
but
yeah.
You could get it to your door for €15 a lot of times, €20, and you might spend that per plate at a restaurant. So
it's interesting to me because I think someone had mentioned to me that Portugal didn't have a lot of variety in food,
which made no sense after we were there.
But I think also you were a picky eater too.
That person, not me.
But even for you, back in the day, you were pretty picky.
Yeah. Well, now I eat everything. I mean,
I feel like there was a lot of seafood. There was definitely more seafood than there was any other type of food. There was definitely a lot of pasta.
They're carb heavy in smaller portions, depending on what, if you go for their food versus other, culinary or different cultures there. At the end of the day, we're on our feet all day walking around exploring, so you just kind of eat on the go anyway.
Yeah.
But when we'd be, starving late at night or hungry early. Also, stuff's not open early there, so you can't.
Oh yeah, nothing is open. So everyone is asleep.
So you're not getting breakfast at 6:30.
You're not getting breakfast at 6:30, and we're morning people. So everything opened at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And which is great because if you're coming from like Canada or North America going there, they're 5 hours ahead. So if you want like that picture perfect, like whatever, get up at your regular time and go out there because it'll be dead. Like you'll have like your pictures.
You can get a sunrise to yourself,
yeah.
or like a whole street if you want a photo of Pink Street, nobody's there because nothing's open.
Yeah.
But and our place was right there, so it was cool. But at the same time, yeah, you'll find lots to eat, different places. You can see what's busy. If you're venturing out to where it's less touristy, sometimes the meals are obviously cheaper. And if it's like a late night or a morning, or you just maybe that's your recovery day and you order Uber Eats, you'll just notice that it's cheaper and there's everything on there. So
and it's fresh.
Yeah, it is.
Because like even the McDonald's that like the famous McDonald's that we went to in Porto, I'm just gonna throw a clip here. Yeah, so even there, I felt like somehow the tomato was fresher. Like the lettuce tasted more fresh. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because like we were so hungry and we had just got off the bus, but
I've seen sometimes,
yeah,
sometimes traveling, like there's less preservatives even in the highly processed breads and stuff at a Subway. I mean, it was still McDonald's for me, but yeah, some of the buns, I think I ordered, what was it, a McTasty, and we don't have that here.
Yeah.
I feel like there was almost like cheese and onions or bacon or something in the bun. I forget what it was. But it was a different bun. It was still a Big Mac.
No, I got the Big Mac. You got like a different type of burger.
I'm not a fast food person, but it was still McDonald's, but you know, whichever. But everything else that we had like along the trip, or even sometimes if you're at like a rest stop gas station, you can get a really good espresso.
Yeah.
And then surprisingly, well, your favorite was like a fried, like a pastel is like a kind of like a pastry empanada kind of samosa thing, but it's different. And it had
shrimp.
Yeah, the shrimp one. That was the best one.
Yeah,
shrimp patty.
It was really good. But I think we went off topic. What I was trying to say about Porto was that because it's a very it's heavy with a lot of tourists. I would say if there is something that you do want to see, definitely book your ticket in advance, because I did go to the library. Can't remember the name of it, so I'll just like insert the title here, but it's a very famous library, and the line was legit super long. Like it was very long, and I thought, like when we first got there, I was like, oh my god, it's right there, and then we go and it's just like this big line. And then the next day I ended up purchasing my ticket and it was packed. So yeah, it was, I feel like a lot of restaurants out that way, you kind of, if you wanted like a good one, you kind of had to book a reservation. Because remember when we were in, I can't remember if it was Porto or if it was Lisbon, but if you wanted to sit like on a rooftop patio, I think they obviously, it was first come first serve for sure. But then like if you made a reservation to eat there, then you like skip the line. Like there was a line to get into the elevator to get to the rooftop.
Well, that was a specific spot, but yes.
Yeah. So some places that are like bumping, you definitely need to make a reservation, especially if you want to see, like if you want to have a like scenic view for sure.
That rooftop was in Lisbon.
Yeah.
There was a line for an elevator to go up to the restaurant.
But you could have
It
taken
was
the
only
stairs.
4 stories, so I made the mistake of noticing the stairs
and telling everybody
and saying, hey, maybe we should just take the stairs. And then a group of like 12 girls behind us seemed to approach like the security guy running the elevator, who guided them up the stairs and you know, took a lot of the tables that we might have been able to sit at beforehand.
You just can't have nice things.
There was about 30 people ahead of us that hadn't realized the stairs. So
yeah.
I mean, I'll defend myself in that point. But we anyway, you can find a lot of places, you can book them. It was kind of close to sunset, but still 2 hours away, but it was really cold. So that was literally the end of our trip, and that's when I got sick, because I was in a button-up waiting for the sunset.
You were in a button-up, but you were like Mr. whatever with his chest open.
The sun,
refusing to button up.
The sun was out, but it was very cold.
A couple of things left on this list. Money wise, currency, obviously in euros. You don't need to have cash on hand. I think some of the posts that I had read was like, oh, you should have like cash on hand because there are some restaurants that just do not take credit card or tap. But I found that everywhere that we had went, they all took tap.
Everyone took tap or like credit card. There's like convenience stores that would always ask for cash first. There was one guy that was like the hotel store kind of near us by the beach in Lagos. He only took cash, no card at all. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's always good as a backup to have cash, especially in an emergency or if your card doesn't work, or in your case, your cards got blocked. So,
okay, first of all,
so I would say
my card was already having issues because my credit card just sucks. But coming back here, my card legit got like blocked because of fraud. Like someone, like I think, and I was talking to a friend about this. I'm like, I don't know how the heck they got my credit card because there was like a purchase made in Amsterdam, and she was saying, I think your card got scanned. So like I didn't know that was a thing.
But that could be anywhere. So it just scans when you put it in.
Like I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's a thing.
And like also me, like
you could ask me.
Well,
but anyway, most places take card. You can have cash, and it's fine.
And like identity theft is a thing.
I didn't find it. I mean, it is everywhere, but sure, yeah. Bring what you like. Couldn't hurt to have a couple $100 on you. You never know what you're gonna need.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Especially if you get into a taxi, then you just pay them with cash.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that was everything. Oh, how did you stay connected? We used eSIM. Yeah, we downloaded this app called.
There's eSIMs.
Airalo.
Airalo is good for eSIMs.
Yeah.
You can get it for like $6. That was Canadian. I think.
No, USD. It was USD.
Okay. So like $8 Canadian. Not bad, and you get 2 gigs of data or 1.5, and it lasts you for 3 days or something.
No, it's 2 gigs, and it's supposed to last you for 15 days.
Yeah.
But because we were using our phone for like. Oh my gosh, because we were using our phone for like, you know,
Google Maps
uploading stuff on Instagram, texting, and then using Google Maps and Uber. Like even if you were to use it for like Uber and Google Maps, like I don't think it would have taken that much, but it was because we were sending photos and staying connected to family.
That's the travel
reason.
tip.
Yeah.
Because I would take pictures, she would take pictures, and then we'd be out and about, and I would say, hey, send me them, or vice versa. And because we're sending, 40 photos from a hike to each other, I think that ate up the data pretty quick.
I mean, you could have just waited till we were back at the hotel.
Wait till you're back in your room with Wi-Fi. That's probably gonna negate a lot of that.
He couldn't wait, clearly. But yeah, so I would highly recommend eSIM. So Airalo was actually really easy to install onto our iPhones. I'll just throw up like a screenshot thing here. Super easy. I would highly recommend that you actually download it the night before, and then once you're at the airport and you're about to check in, then go ahead and switch your SIM cards from your personal to your travel one, because otherwise it starts eating it up on the day of you buying the SIM card. So like I said, if you're obviously there for more than 7 days, you want to try to maximize your package. They do have packages for 30 days, but I chose 7 because it was cheaper, and then it'll tell you when you need to top up. So topping up was really easy too. So they'll send you like an email, and then you just top up and then just use your phone.
Yeah.
I think that was about it. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention at all?
No, it depends.
Oh, I got one.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't need you don't need to learn Portuguese. I think a lot of people are very concerned about not knowing the language. Thankfully, you know what? I think the areas that we were at there, because it's such a busy area and it's like heavy with tourists, they actually had 2 menus at some restaurants where it was like, this is the Portuguese menu and this is the English menu.
A lot of times it was just written all on the same menu too. It would be Portuguese.
Yeah, but the one restaurant that we went to, he literally gave us 2. He was like, oh, that's the Portuguese, and then he gave us.
It's the equivalent to like me getting a fork at sushi, right? They're like, you're gonna need this.
But anyways, you don't need to learn Portuguese, but I think the locals there would really appreciate it, because I have noticed at least some of like the Uber drivers that we had, they would make comments that, oh, like there's so many like outsiders who are moving in over here, and like Lagos, it was purely, it wasn't like a heavy tourist area before, but now it is, and now everyone is forced to kind of learn English. But obviously, like the older generation are stuck in their own way.
An attempt's always respected.
Oh, for
and,
sure.
I mean, it helps you in general. There's a couple shortcuts, or if you know some Spanish, it might help you.
Yeah.
But a lot of people there seem, you know, bi or trilingual. Like they know a lot of languages, and their English is pretty good. Some of our taxis were heavily Portuguese. And there seemed to be a little bit of a rub between taxi and Uber drivers. Because our first one that we got, he was maybe stopped for 30 seconds, our Uber driver, and this taxi started laying on the horn as we're loading our bags in.
And taking pictures.
Oh yeah, he wanted his plate and everything. But otherwise, like, to us, they were very friendly.
Yeah.
The Uber drivers. And, you know, it was fun. There's different paces to depending on what city you're at, but our favorite was still, I don't know, what would you vote on?
I think if you are interested in more of like a laid back, literally like just to chill, see the sunrise, sunset, we can't really see it there, but you know, if I could redo it again, I probably would stay a couple more extra days in Lagos and another couple of days in Porto. I would actually shorten the Lisbon trip. And on that note, I do want to mention that like something along this, like what you were saying earlier about Lisbon, is I do feel like once you've kind of like situated yourself and you've seen the area, there's really nothing else to see. I feel like when you're in Lisbon, you can only travel from point A to point B. So like, for example, if you want to go to Sintra, that's still 30 minutes out from where you are in Lisbon. And the Alfami district, that's still like another 30 minutes from where you are. So I feel like Lisbon is kind of like the hub, and then you're just constantly like traveling out of that place. Whereas like if you were thinking of solely just staying in Lisbon, I feel like you only need a couple of days.
You might burn it out in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, obviously the nightlife is busy there. You're gonna have a heavy, you know, UK population, at least when we were there. But there's nightlife in all of them, and you can enjoy it. There's scenes in all of them, you can enjoy it. But the pace or even the vibe, like Lisbon, as I mentioned, is like very busy, and you know, lots going on at all times, where everyone seemed a lot more laid back in the other areas.
Yeah, very, very chill. And like, I feel like Porto is kind of underestimated, because like, yeah, like when you're like, I don't know, like within like the busy areas, it's really cool. But like once you make it down from the bridge and you're walking along like that market street, I feel like there's so many restaurants that we didn't get to try, because we didn't get to see it until the end of our trip.
Yeah, it's pretty, and it's almost like for us like closer to like old Montreal feel.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
you don't have like, let's say, the as busy an area like sea-wise or ocean-wise, but there is still a port. There's still, you know, nice restaurants and towns and stone and bridges and, you know, just old buildings that you're going to appreciate while you're there. It just has a good vibe. There's people are out on the street. It's like a walking city. It's just different from at least where we live, where we're commuting everywhere.
Yeah, and it wasn't so crowded. Like I felt like when we were in Lisbon, everyone was kind of like shoulder to shoulder, even though it was during the day. Felt like in Porto, you had like breathing room where you can get on a bike and kind of bike wherever. But I feel like if you wanted to do that in Lisbon, you kind of have to like go outside of the busy area. But like I said, like it just depends on where you're staying, because where we were, it was literally downtown.
You could see Pink Street from our window.
Yeah.
So, but we had a beautiful condo, and it was like 12-foot ceilings, and the windows were well insulated, so it was
quiet.
It was quiet, but obviously if you're, you know, not falling asleep by midnight, or you're not coming home around 1 or 2, and you know, maybe a little easier to sleep after a few, then you're gonna hear some noise at night, you know. But that's, you know where you are. It's the busiest street. Yeah.
And I did notice that in Lisbon, I guess like not as much in Porto, but they definitely had this. There was a lot of like street food. It wasn't like really street food, but they had a lot of patios, and I felt so bad for some of the workers because did you notice they were like in like the little.
No, I think what you mean is like not only is there like restaurants and patios everywhere, but like they have almost like a drive-through window bar.
Yeah,
So
but it was
instead-
like in a little
So instead
confined space.
it'll be either like that is the entire restaurant itself, or it's like a open window two-way restaurant. So instead of sitting down, you can walk by, and you can like they have all the taps there, so you can order a pint of beer right off the side of the window.
Yeah.
Like in your travels, or like there'll be a kid standing there, and there's like empanadas and pastries and whatever else like street food, like you say, he's selling. It's like somewhat street food.
No. But like, do you remember in Lisbon, like where we stayed, like on our last day when we were like just trying to find something to do, like that area where it was like split up in from like this three
the
restaurants.
park. Yes.
Yeah, so that park next to it, they had like this little, I wouldn't call it like a little hut because it was bigger than a hut, but there was like this one station that they did actually serve food, and like I found that
It looked like a tourist information booth.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was like
it was
food,
a coffee shop.
Yeah, it was a coffee shop, and I noticed that there are a lot of those out in Lisbon, and a few in Porto sprinkled around. And yeah, it was unique, and I think the window drive-through, it's not even a drive-through, it was like a window walk-through. I think that was very unique. I think that's really cool. And I think what else? Like for ladies, or men, if you love to shop, or if you like to just buy, you know, luxury items, they definitely have that out in Lisbon. But I will say, when I was doing my research, you still have to make reservations to some stores, and I think they have a policy where you can only buy one luxury good per day. So there was that rule. And
but not at like the other stores you're at, just like the
like the real
brands,
like
the main brands.
Like if you were walking into like Louis Vuitton or Hermes, for sure. But if you were going to like a pre-loved store, then yeah, like you didn't need a reservation, you can just walk in, but you wouldn't be saving on tax or anything like that. So there's, you know, trade-offs there.
You can have to wait.
Okay.
Well, we weren't in those stores, so it was still good.
Yeah.
But they are there, and you can shop there. And
Yeah.
they did have that one that we found. It was called like pre-loved.
Well, no, that was in the duty free at the airport.
No, but there was one that we walked by. Okay, the pre-loved was in the airport.
Yeah.
But there was a store similar.
It has an R. I'll flash a photo for you. I did take a photo of it.
Yeah.
And they had some like decent stuff, and even in Porto too, not just Lisbon. So like, just definitely do your research. And I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything else that comes to my mind to give you guys.
Food's good. Weather was good at the start. It got a little cold. Depends on when you go. So pack, because, you know,
layers, lots of layers.
It's good to have, you know, and at the same time, 9 days was what we had, and we didn't even go to Madeira, which is somewhere we'd want to go. So
that was just not.
If you're fortunate enough to get a week or more, plan your trip accordingly.
Yeah.
And you might want to weigh things out a little heavier depending on where you want to go.
Yeah. Well, I hope that was helpful, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.